Country artist Morgan Wallen arrested after an incident at a bar in Nashville over the weekend.
A country music star is facing major backlash today. We're talking about Morgan Wallen.
Morgan Wallen has been arrested. There was some sort of incident in the downtown bar that happened last night.
Morgan Wallen. From small-town Tennessee to the top of country music charts, Morgan Wallen's rise has been nothing short of explosive. But it wasn't just his voice that made headlines. It was his life, his controversies, and his unapologetic style that made him both a superstar and a target. Now with his new album, I'm the Problem, Morgan's ready to shake things up once again. But is he really the problem, or did the country music industry make him this way? So this is the rise, the fall, and the rebirth of Morgan Wallen.
Praise the Lord and go Vols, baby!
Before the mullet and before the stadiums, there was a kid in Steedville, Tennessee who sang church harmonies and dreamed of playing baseball. His path of becoming one of the biggest artists in the world wasn't planned. In fact, it only happened because his dreams were shattered first. His dad was a preacher, and Morgan's first stage was in the church. At 5, he asked for a fiddle for Christmas, and actually got lessons. By 7, he was learning piano too. Most kids that age are playing video games. Morgan was learning how chords worked.
Who in your life, though, was motivating you, or at least encouraging you to chase music early on?
My mama. Even, like, it sounds good to try to learn something, but then, I'm a kid, I want to learn something, but then you realize, well, this is actually kind of hard. So I was wanting to quit, obviously, like kids do, and my mom wouldn't let me. She really pushed me to do it, and now I'm really thankful. She was like, you'll thank me one day, and I'm like, yeah, right. That's it.
Music was always there, but for a while, it took a backseat. At 4 years old, Morgan started playing baseball, and for the next 13 years, it was everything. He wasn't just a good player, he was a standout. Morgan would actually be homeschooled throughout his childhood, but as a freshman enrolled at Gibbs High School in Knoxville, Tennessee, where he played shortstop and pitcher.
Those were my two things that I loved. I love music and I love sports. And baseball just, happened to be the one that was, I showed the most interest for, and that's what my parents put me in. And I played it all the way up till the end of high school, and played travel ball and all that stuff, all the time. And
soon he would be getting attention from scouts. His future looked set, college ball, maybe even pro, but then one throw changed everything. After his junior year, he tore a ligament in his elbow, the kind of injury pitchers don't always come back from. And just like that, the dream was over. With baseball gone, Morgan was devastated, but he went back to the only other thing that ever gave him peace: music. He bought a guitar and started teaching himself how to play. He didn't take lessons, he taped chord charts from Walmart to his bedroom wall. That was his method. He would dabble in poetry growing up, but now those poems became songs. He wrote his first one at 18. It wasn't for fame, it wasn't for anyone but himself. Morgan would go on to community college for about a year, but realized it just wasn't where he belonged. But Morgan's big break came from a place he never expected: his mom. She signed him up for The Voice behind his back. One audition in St. Louis led to another in LA, and before he knew it, Morgan, who had never been on a plane before, was standing on a soundstage singing for Shakira and Usher.
the dawn is breaking. A light shining through.
Both turned their chairs. He felt like a fish out of water in LA, and more importantly, he got a crash course on how the music industry and the TV business works.
This was my first time performing on my own. I had been a part of my church's praise team, been a part of things like that, but never an audience that just saw me on my own. And to see those two chairs turn around was a huge confidence booster for me.
The cameras, the coaches, the chaos. It wasn't home, but it was his first glimpse of what his career could look like. During a break in filming, producers encouraged contestants to find a vocal coach to stay sharp. Morgan found Sergio Sanchez, a former rock frontman. They clicked instantly. Sergio became more than a coach. He was Morgan's first real collaborator. The two started writing together, and soon Morgan would connect with Panacea Records, a small label that signed him in 2015. They cut Morgan's first EP, Stand Alone, and released Spin You Around.
It didn't light up the charts immediately, but it was a spark for what was to come.
Morgan kept networking, and it led him to meet some important people in his journey. One of the first in the industry was booking agent Kevin Neal. Morgan played a few songs for him, and Kevin told him point blank,
"I want to help you, but you have to move to Nashville." So he did.
Morgan didn't have a full plan, but he knew he wanted to be around it. The songwriting, the studios, the people who did this for real. He kept writing and playing, and with the help of Morgan's managers and recent connections passing around his demos, one of those demos landed in front of Seth England, head of Big Loud and Florida Georgia Line's manager at the time. Morgan went in and played a few songs for him, one of them being Talladega by Eric Church.
And he got the deal.
In 2016, Big Loud officially signed the 23-year-old Morgan Wallen. This was his time to show what he could do, and what song did he release as his first single? The Way I Talk.
It is my first single ever. It's kind of a song about just being proud of who you are and where you're from and the things that go with that, even though sometimes people may not understand. That's okay.
But it did something more important. It introduced Morgan's voice and his story to the world, a Southern anthem about owning who you are, and for Morgan, the real game changer was still around the corner. At the time, Florida Georgia Line, Big Loud's biggest act, was heading out on tour. Morgan was the new guy on the roster, unproven but hungry. So with him being a part of the label, they took a chance and invited him out on the road. Morgan opened the shows, slowly winning over crowds who didn't know his name yet.
That tour didn't just give him experience, it gave him momentum and led to this connection and song.
Up Down brings the party vibe. It's loud, it's crazy, there's no deep complexity here, it's just a song made to have a good time, and it does exactly that. But now it's 2018, and it was time for the world to officially meet Morgan Wallen. His debut album, If I Know Me, hit the scene, and for the moment it dropped, it was clear. This was the beginning of something special for him. And when you think of this album, there's one song that immediately comes to mind.
This song is about the last time I got broken up with. It goes a little something like this.
Whiskey Glasses.
Pour me another drink. I don't wanna
For me, the first time I heard Whiskey Glasses was around the fire during college, and I could tell immediately that this song was going to be super popular.
Whether it was his rough rock sounding voice, sang in a country way that was different, or just the catchy hook, it was only going up from here for Morgan. But Whiskey Glasses wasn't the only song that resonated. There's Chasing You, another track in the same vein with whiskey references and the feeling of longing.
Chasing you like a shot of whiskey.
If I Know Me, the title track, was a little more lighthearted, which also became popular. It's more of a pop dance track, honestly.
See where this night leads. If I know me, I have you hopping up in my passenger seat. Can I take you home?
And of course, you had Up Down and The Way I Talk making its official appearance on this record as well.
And from that moment on, we knew that Morgan Wallen was going to be here for a while.
It's practically summer, and if you're anything like me, that means you're finding time to get outside. Whether it's hitting the water, hopping on a boat, or just hanging by the pool, Marsh has you covered. I've been rocking their Cooper Volleys and summer gear lately, and I'm telling you, it's perfect for whatever the day takes you. One of my favorite things they make is their tech shirts. They keep you protected from the sun, but they're also super lightweight and breathable. So if you're looking to upgrade your summer wardrobe, definitely check out Marsh. Big thanks to them for supporting the Western side. Check out the link in the description to gear up and use this code to get 15% off any full priced item. After If I Know Me, Morgan Wallen wasn't slowing down. If anything, he was just getting started. In 2019, Morgan took a bold step by appearing on Taste of Country and covering Jason Isbell's Cover Me Up.
Days when we raced, we flew off the page. Such damage was done.
That moment was a game changer. His performance caught fire, and fans and critics couldn't stop talking about it. It was the way Morgan's voice shined through, his ability to nail those higher notes, to take a powerful song and make it his own, proved just how much he could offer.
So girl, leave your boots by the bed, we ain't leaving this wrong.
And of course, we have to give Jason Isbell his flowers on the songwriting of Cover Me Up, but it left people wondering about Morgan Wallen. Who is this guy?
That performance led to a studio version of Cover Me Up, and soon after, Morgan was releasing new singles that were setting the stage for what was coming next. He He was still riding high off the success of If I Know Me, but songs like More Than My Hometown and 7 Summers started to take things to new heights.
Heck, now he even had a signature look, 90s mullet and signature cut-off sleeves. That was Morgan Wallen.
Was Morgan one of the first dudes to bring this style back in the early 2020s? I swear I saw more and more dudes having this hairstyle ever since him.
Something I didn't really expect to become, what it has. I know I'm not the first person to have a mullet, but like you said, it's been a while since it's kind of been a thing. Unless you're a hockey fan, they've always just had a mullet.
More Than My Hometown was a great example of Morgan's ability to mix sincerity with relatability, and it was just really an easy listening track.
I love you more than a feeling when the bass hits the hook.
These two songs marked a turning point in Morgan's career, in my opinion. They weren't just hits, they solidified his place as one of country music's most promising stars. But by the time we hit 2020, it felt like Morgan was just on the verge of something huge. He had proven his versatility, he had shown his range as both a storyteller and a vocalist, and he was gaining a massive following. He was about to take country music by storm.
But just as Morgan was riding high from 7 Summers and More Than My Hometown, something unexpected happened.
Country artist Morgan Wallen arrested after an incident at a bar in Nashville over the weekend. Arrest records saying that officers saw security guards throw the 27-year-old out of the club after reportedly being disorderly, kicking glass and items inside.
He was arrested and charged with public intoxication after being ejected from Kid Rock's bar in Nashville for allegedly being disorderly and kicking glass items. The media picked up on it quickly, but Morgan didn't shy away from owning up to it. He apologized on Twitter, explaining that he and some friends had been horsing around, but he didn't mean to do any harm. But that wasn't the end of it. Later in October, just as Morgan's career seemed to be skyrocketing, he faced even more public backlash. This time it was for allegedly violating COVID-19 protocols. He was seen partying without a mask in multiple TikTok videos, and as a result, Morgan was pulled from his scheduled appearance as a music guest on Saturday Night Live. It was a blow, but Morgan didn't back down. He eventually returned to the show that December, and even SNL poked fun at the controversy with the sketch.
Morgan! Whoa, dude! I came as soon as I could.
Did you just appear out of that cloud of weed?
Huh? No, that's just regular time travel smoke.
Time travel?
That's right. You see, I am you from the future, and I came back here to stop you from partying tonight.
Showing that Morgan had, in some ways, weathered the storm with a bit of humor and resilience. It was clear the road to stardom was never going to be a smooth one. But in the middle of it all, that autumn, he won New Artist of the Year at the CMA Awards. Proof that all of his hard work, all the building he has been doing, was finally paying off. It wasn't just the songs anymore. This was his moment.
And the CMA Award for New Artist of the Year goes to Morgan Wallen.
Well, I did not expect to get this.
So after all the momentum of If I Know Me, the viral success of Cover Me Up, and back-to-back hits like More Than My Hometown and 7 Summers, we got it. Dangerous, the double album.
I can see me sitting in the back of a cop car, banging my head on the window. I can see me.
This wasn't just another country record. It was 30 tracks of Morgan laying everything on the table. His influences, his heartbreaks, his wild side, and the softer edges. And right from the start, the tone was set with Sand in My Boots.
Even now I'm dodging potholes in my sunburned Silverado.
This was a stripped back ballad that sounds like it's carrying the weight of a memory he can't shake. It's a story of a fleeting romance that never made it past the beach, and all he's left with is sand in his boots. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but that ballad type of song makes it hit even harder. Then there's Wasted on You, a track that blends genre lines with a trap-inspired beat. This was the moment a lot of people started to realize Morgan wasn't just a guy that sang country songs. He was creating his own lane. It blended together in a way that's now been imitated by countless others. Personally, one of my favorites from the album is Only Thing That's Gone, a deep cut with Chris Stapleton.
It's the kind of song you can play at the end of a long night. Chris isn't really doing too much, but in the background he's adding just these really nice harmonies that add to the song.
Then of course you've got Somebody's Problem, which quickly became a fan favorite.
Somebody's problems about to be mine.
The truth is, there are just so many songs off of this record that took a life of their own, even years after they were released. This was Morgan hitting his stride. You could feel it. He was starting to perfect and gain this signature sound, and you could hear other artists chasing it too.
He had the hits, he had the look, he had the voice. But just when you thought things were taking off at a crazy level,
country music star is facing major backlash today. We're talking about Morgan Wallen right here. He was caught on camera using a racial slur outside his home here in Nashville, and the fallout is huge.
A neighbor was recording when Wallen said a racial slur. When did you realize that what you had done was a big deal?
My manager called me probably 2 hours before the video came out. You know, he's like, "Are you sitting down?" And no one's ever called me and said that before. We stayed dumb stuff together. It was, in our minds, it's playful. You know, I don't know if that sounds ignorant, but that's really where it came from, and it's wrong. And I quickly understood that.
The fallout was quick. Big Loud Records suspended his recording contract, though in the long run Morgan wasn't dropped outright, but for a brief moment, his career was left hanging in the balance. Morgan faced public condemnation and found himself banned from multiple music award shows, including the Billboard Music Awards and the American Music Awards that fall. He posted a heartfelt apology on Instagram, explaining that he didn't mean any harm, but acknowledging the weight of his mistake.
Obviously, the natural thing to do is to apologize further and just continue to apologize, but because you got caught, and that's not what I wanted to do.
The damage wasn't just in the regular media appearances. It led to canceled tour dates, his withdrawal from the public eye for some time, and a complicated road ahead as he worked through the fallout. But this wasn't the end. A year later, in May of 2022, Morgan made his return to the spotlight, attending the Billboard Music Awards for the first time ever since his scandal. His appearance was a moment of redemption, but still a reminder that he had a lot left to prove. But it's no surprise that instead of letting the pressure crush him, Morgan found his way back, releasing singles that quietly started to gain traction. While You Proof was an insanely big hit, when you think of Morgan Wallen 20 years from now, you'll think of this song.
Last night we let the liquor talk. I can't remember everything we said, but we said it all.
When we look at his 2023 album One Thing at a Time, it's clear that Morgan Wallen was at the height of his evolution. This album has a lot of layers, from nostalgic traditional country moments to the tracks that feel right at home in today's more pop-infused swagger-filled landscape. Take Last Night, for example. This song has already surpassed 1 billion streams, and it's easy to see why. It was everywhere, giving us a glimpse into the future of country music's mainstream appeal. I've got to admit, I'm personally drawn more to that traditional country style. And this album has moments where I think that for that type of person, it delivers on specific songs. Tracks like Everything I Love have real drums and a rhythm that makes you nod your head along.
Wish I would've known that by now you'd be good and gone, and you leave us in a cloud of dust.
Then there's Keith Whitley, which tugs at the heartstrings with its country roots.
Good whiskey, girl, it just don't last when Keith Whitley.
Thought You Should Know, a more heartfelt moment on the album, brings an emotional edge, with Morgan speaking to his mom.
I thought you should know, I got me a new girl down there.
Another example of how personal this album could be. And then you have Man Made a Bar, a great collaboration with Eric Church.
But it didn't make no place to go when she prayed so hard. So man made a bar.
And with Eric Church in the mix, it makes it even better. But the album isn't just about country music in general. Morgan isn't afraid to play with different genres. Tracks like Cowgirls with Ernest and Thinking About Me lean into the modern swagger-filled side of country, blending pop and even trap influences.
Never gonna settle on down, girl. Leave you in a lonely ghost town.
And let's not forget You Proof, which was an absolute hit, nearing 1 billion listens as well. It's another track that proves Morgan's appeal across multiple genres, dominating stream charts and showing that his sound has mass appeal.
I need something you prove, something stronger than I'm used to.
What stands out the most about One Thing at a Time is how Morgan Wallen continues to do it his way. Whether he's bringing us to the soulful countryside or experimenting with more modern elements like Last Night, he's staying true to who he is, and that's a big reason why this album exploded. But in January of 2024, he made waves when he warned fans about a reissue of his early 2014 EP, which he'd long distanced himself from. He posted from a duck hunting trip saying he regretted the deals he signed back then and the music he made. Music that didn't reflect who he was today. Fast forward to 2024 and the people that he parted ways with years ago, before Big Loud, were trying to release a 10th anniversary edition of that EP, complete with 8 unreleased songs against his wishes. Morgan fought for months to reclaim the rights to his own music, but it didn't work out. So in his response, he recorded his own version of Spin You Around.
Spin you round and round this dance floor.
Fans loved it, but you can only imagine how frustrating that would have been for Morgan to really just reclaim his own legacy.
Just when you thought Morgan Wallen was finally starting to turn the page, well, let's just say life threw him a chair.
Morgan Wallen this morning in another mugshot, charged with 3 counts of felony reckless endangerment and 1 count of misdemeanor disorderly conduct after police say he threw a chair 6 stories down from a rooftop bar in Nashville.
And the bond, $15,000. But hey, on the bright side, no one was hurt, and Morgan's always been the type of guy that knows how to keep things interesting. By December of 2024, Morgan pled guilty and the story ended with a bit of a twist. 7 days at a DUI education center and 2 years of probation. So while it may seem like a roller coaster was finally slowing down, in classic Morgan Wallen fashion, it wasn't quite over yet.
And here we are, it's 2025 and Morgan just dropped I'm the Problem, a 37-track album filled with all types of melancholy.
Obviously, you've got a lot of the singles, songs like the title track I'm the Problem, which feed right into the overarching theme, but what really matters here isn't just the singles. It's once you really dig into the grit and grime of the record that you really start to understand what he's doing.
Let's talk about the collaborations first. You have Tate McRae, which obviously it's going to be more into that pop type of sound, but you have Post Malone and Hardy and Ernest, as well as Eric Church.
In totality, I think each feature adds something on the record, and in the grand scheme of 37 songs, there really aren't that many features if you think about it that way. When going through the deeper cuts, one of the first songs that really hit me was Falling Apart. It's mostly just him and the guitar, simple, stripped back, but lyrically, it's introspective, it's reflective. It's Morgan trying to process what life looks like after losing someone.
Even you wasn't half as smart as I thought it was.
It's one of those songs that really sneaks up on you. It's catchy, but it's also honest. Then there's TN, short for Tennessee. And there's really nothing crazy in terms of what's happening in production, but the hook stays with you. It's one of those songs you end up going back to without really even thinking about it.
In a Dixie and the UT on the TV.
But if we're talking standouts, let me be clear. Number 3 and number 7 featuring Eric Church might be the strongest song of the entire record. It tells the story of a young guy who drives drunk and wrecks his car. And metaphorically, those numbers hit hard. Number 3 for Dale Earnhardt and number 7 for Jack Daniels. It's wrapped up in something that feels modern but still rooted in tradition.
Had my hand wrapped around that drink till that truck wrapped around that tree.
Every time you have Eric Church on a track, I feel like it just naturally feels more nostalgic. I don't know if that's just because of the song Springsteen, but even Man Made a Bar or this song, it just feels like he just adds something to the song that I really can't just put my finger on.
This one has that weight, that emotional pull to it. It's about regret, consequences, and the strange grace of walking away from something that you shouldn't have survived.
Number 3 and number 7 don't add up too much good.
Honestly, in my opinion, it might be one of Morgan's best songs he's put out to date. Then you've got Come Back as a Redneck featuring Hardy. And anytime you put Hardy and Morgan on a song together, you know they're going to have this type of chemistry and energy to it.
You're back for that barely get by paycheck.
It tells the story of a country guy sitting at a red light and basically getting judged by some straight-laced dude in a suit. So what does he say? Basically, I hope when you die you come back as a redneck so you can finally understand this life and you can see what it's all about. It's tongue-in-cheek, it's confident, and it's got a punch to it.
When you die, I hope you come back.
You have some more trap beats on this record. There's even a track literally titled Interlude that sounds like it could be pulled off straight from a Drake album.
Yo, I drink too much. Yo, I love that taste. Yeah.
And for some fans, that's going to be a turnoff, but for some others, that might be a turn on. And that's part of what makes Morgan Wallen such a divisive and interesting figure in music. He doesn't stay in one lane, and he never has. And that's why he reaches so many people, because he's blending genres, playing with styles, and creating something that's bigger than just country or pop. But he doesn't forget his roots either. Songs like Number 3 and Number 7 prove that. There's still a place on this album for traditional fans, for people who want that more emotional, story-driven songwriting. This whole record is filled with Morgan confronting things, his relationship, his mistakes, his public image. It's melancholic, it's conflicted, and whether he's pointing the finger at himself or reflecting on the chaos around him, he's not hiding. And maybe that's why it works, because love him or hate him, Morgan Wallen says, I am the problem, but he's willing to sing about it anyway.